Hello everyone, welcome. This is the Blues Preview. It's going to be a brand new series here on the Blues Daily channel. My name is James Kelly and I'm joined by my guest, Mr. Tom Oxland. Welcome aboard.
Hello, my friend.
Tom, thank you very much for joining us on the Blues Day. You'll see hopefully most of us within the next few weeks going forward in terms of just talking Blues in general, because that's what we all like to see, whether it's in terms of match previews, match reactions, etc. This is the channel where you're going to find out more of the analytical / tactical side of Blues. So we're going to get our opinions based on that as well. We'll talk a little bit on transfers because it's going to be the start of the season. So we're going to talk about that, but it's going to be more about a platform for you fans that want to find out the more inner detail about Blues. So how we played, what can we expect for the next game, etc. And that's what we are. And who could have thought of a harder challenge to face in our first game than Sheffield United? So we're going to get for the Premier League and into the Championship straight away. And you've got to think their favourites already. Slavica Djukanovic is the new man in charge at the Blades. So he's already had a top resume in terms of with Fulham. Did really well with them as well. We all remember that game, Blues Fulham, when they were going up towards the playoffs, and we managed to beat them in the hot sunshine. Yeah, great game that was. But Big Slav is back. He's back for the Blades, and the Blades, if they're going to know what Chris Wilder did with the Championship, they're going to be some threat for this season, along with other teams as well. So let's get straight into it. What do you reckon we can expect from Sheffield United going forward into the season and then also into this game, you reckon?
I think we'll see a slight change. Obviously, with Sheffield United, we're so used to seeing that sort of 5-3-2 that Wilder implemented, and it just seemed like sort of the Sheffield United way in the end. It was still a relatively new formation in the Championship because it wasn't being used too much, and Wolves kind of brought it into fruition to begin with in the league, and then Sheffield United adopted that and brought a bit more of an English hard-to-beat style to it, much more tough. And those players are still there. You know, they've got a really strong squad. I remember today literally seeing their squad numbers come out, and I'm like, oh my God, we have to play them on Saturday night. So, it's going to be tough. But with Jukanovic, he normally likes more of a 4-3-3. So I do think we'll see a new look Sheffield United, which could work in Blues' favour, because it's still a new system that's gelling. However, Blues might be using a new system themselves, but obviously it's always going to be tough because Jukanovic is such a great manager at this level, as we've seen promotion with Watford, promotion with Fulham. So, the resume speaks for itself, and I doubt it's going to be an easy game at all, but we'll certainly expect quality. I think we'll probably see some of the best quality from a team in the Championship than we'll see all season. It really is a tough game to start with. But Blues tend to relish these sort of big first games in recent years. So hopefully we can do that again.
I think the crucial thing with Sheffield United is the fact of in the Premier League, they had that incredible first season. It was just like mental what they did. And then obviously whatever happened last year, it happened. But the more crucial thing is they kept the players. They've kept a lot of the players, like you've said. So Sander Berge, obviously, probably one that comes to mind in terms of probably one of their top prospects. That obviously Arsenal have had the look at. There's other clubs as well that have had the look at, etc. So it's going to be either that like full formation, like you said, or they may even go that back three, because they had the back five last year. They still might go to back three because they still have those centre backs as well, which would work interesting. Who do you think is going to be the key player for Sheffield United that we've got to watch out for?
Well, I think you've highlighted one already. Sander Berge, definitely. I think if Jack O'Connell, if he is back from injury, he can be a real threat. He's a very, very interesting centre-back. The way he played under Wilder, although he was sort of, captain, heart of the defence, he made so many forward runs. He is everything Harley Dean dreams he wants to be. That centre-back that can dart forward and be a second striker. So, there really are some versatile, interesting players in that squad, and those were two that I'd particularly pick out. But then you can't even rule out the likes of, Ollie McBurney or Mousse that they've got up top. There's just so much quality. And then obviously EFL regular scorer Billy Sharp.
Yeah, for sure. I'm just looking into in terms of their arrivals as well. I don't think they've done much in terms of the transfer
They
business.
made their first signing today, so
Have they? Who they got
yeah.
today?
His name's Ronaldo something. He used to play
Oh,
for
that's from
Leeds.
Leeds. Yes,
Yeah,
that's that midfielder. So he might. It's depending, obviously, with how it works in terms that he might feature. He might be for the next
of
future
course.
games. So it'll be interesting. Let's talk Blues then, because wow, what an end to the season we have with Blues. Obviously, last year with the Itis Karanka situation and the off the board situation, it just seems like we're on track to hopefully positivity, which is good at St Andrews because that's what the fans want. That's what the fan base is about. We're not calling for some tiki taka 4-2-3-1 that's just constantly 20, well, we'd like 30 goals a season. That'd be great from all of our players, but it's really not going to be that. It's going to be possibly long ball. It's going to be just get it in the box, crossing, using your wingers, going forward, etc. But we want the players, for example, that could just get the Tilton up and just applaud for, a Gary Gardner slide tackle, just slashing him. That's what Blues
Just
is
2
about.
feet, yeah.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? Just like go for the yellow card, go for the red card. That's what we're all about. But we've been busy in the transfer market. I tell you, we've had some proper additions. What do you think of the transfer market? Do you reckon Lee Bowyer and Gardner's worked really well as a pair to get these signings in? Because more importantly as well, it hasn't really cost much.
Of course, yeah. I think we've absolutely smashed it. I think this is the window that Blues fans have been crying out for years. You know, we see so many good deals around the championship that are, decent little frees, and we think, oh, I wish Blues would have gone for that. And I think a lot of that in recent years has been down to the fact that we haven't had an in-house scouting department. We've used agencies abroad, and that's really sort of made our signings so random, if you will. That come with promise, but then don't fit the championship. So, and this season's so different to that. So different. We've done it smart. We've done it the right way. And it's exciting. It really is exciting. I mean, particularly to Heath Chong, there were bigger offers on the table for him.
Yeah.
And, Ryan Woods as well, he said that he's never found it so easy to be convinced for a manager. He's straight there. So, Bowyer's style and philosophy that he's trying to get across to these players is clearly very attractive. And I think judging from what we've seen in pre-season so far, we are looking to have the ball on the floor a bit more, retain possession a bit more, play out from the back, which has never normally worked at Blues. So it'd be interesting to see how it goes down. But I do reckon we won't lose that character and that element of sort of battling. I don't think Bowyer will ever let that mentality drop, which is where previous managers like Zola and, even Karanka himself, that have forgotten about. They're just trying to implement more of a pretty football, but you can't do that with Blues. You just can't, and it's hard to do it in the EFL in general unless you have the money for it. So no, very exciting. Some really good signings, and even Jordan Graham and Chuckson Ike from League One. I was so buzzing when we signed them, particularly Jordan Graham. I think over maybe not his first season, but over a couple of seasons might prove to be a really, really good bit of business. So no, very exciting time at Blues, and there's not many negatives around the club. I mean, the closest you can get to a negative is we've probably not got a big budget. And
the stadium as well needs a bit of work. But other than that,
the lower Tilton, other than that, I'd say that was minor compared to what we've had in recent years, problems wise. And the fact that a badge is being considered for on the back of the Gilmerick would be class. But we'll see. No, very positive times at Blues, and there's hard to pick many holes in it. I do think Craig Gardner's had a big part to play in that as well, by the way.
Yeah, I think his kind of direction and working with Lee Bowyer to get these signings in is really good. And the fact of you look at the stats of Chuckson Ike when he says he's got one of the best kind of attributes for goals off the bench makes it really good, because it's sometimes where you remember the history of like the Super Kev where he comes on and just scores. That's what we need. We need someone sometimes in the game just to come on and provide that energy. I joked on Twitter I'd give Chuckson Ike an oxygen tank and pay for it for 90 minutes if he could, just to because he seems like the real package. The problem with Blues, we haven't had that critical striker. No offense to obviously Hogan and Duke and everything, they do their bits, but and Lecco, since that Shea Adams has moved on, we haven't really got moving. And hopefully this this goes on something. I know I said I wasn't going to talk about transfers, but there we go. It's the first kind of game of the season, so it's who to expect. And we have got word, hopefully, that there might be another striker that comes in, which is good.
Striker and a centre back, yeah.
Striker and a centre back. It depends on the outgoings, so we'd have to see. But yeah, no, some really, really good business. Like you said, Jordan Graham, Chuks and EK. It's just interesting to see how the usuals from last year slot into it. So Bella and Sanchez, because they've been one of our best players on both sides. But Jordan Graham can't play necessarily in that sense. He could play many in midfield, but winger is obviously what he is. So
yeah,
it's going to be interesting to see how Lee Bowyer uses that. But I think it's a really good problem to have, where previously, where it's just like, you're strong as 11, praise the Lord, hope we get a win. Where now you're like, we've actually got options where we can actually try change something, which is good.
100%, mate.
Formation-wise, where do you reckon this is going to go then? Because it's been weird with Karanka, because it was almost like there was a different formation each week and a different team sheet each week.
Yeah, it was weird. He was always trying sort of 5 at the back, and that 5-3-2, or he'd go with his favoured 4-2-3-1, which we didn't actually see as much as I expected us to see last season. He tried to change it up a bit, and it just, in the end, he tried too many different things, and I think it just confused the players and they gave up. These things happen in football, and it didn't sound like he was the most motivational character either. So, but it is what it is. But this season, I do think it would be relatively close. I mean, I remember last season, everyone was crying for us to play 4-4-2. And Karanka just wouldn't do it. He just wouldn't do it. It was too, I suppose, unorthodox for him. And then as soon as Bowyer comes in, bang, 4-4-2, win a game. That simple. Because you've got to work with the players you got. And that's exactly what Bowyer did. And that's exactly what he's going to do again this season. He has his own style and own philosophy, but when he realises what he's got in front of him, he has to play to their strengths. Otherwise, you won't win games. It's that simple. But we've brought in players now that will suit a bit more of Bowyer's style, that can hopefully help guide some of the players that have already been here. Like your Gary Gardners, your Harley Deans, your Mark Roberts, whatnot. But I think one of Blues' biggest problems has always been mentality, and it's turning that losing mentality around and building a more consistent, not winning mentality, but just positive mentality. Because let's face it, we probably won't win every game. We're not going to do the Invincibles. But even so, I don't think we're at that stage yet where we can say, top 6. We're just not quite there. You never know, but we're not. So no, I think, judging from Bowyer's comments about the 4-4-2 in pre-season just being a fitness thing and no tactics, I'd like to expect maybe a 5-3-2 or a 3-5-2 come Sheffield United.
Normally, I wouldn't like a 5-back, but knowing the more modern way of kind of wing backs flying at the pitch, I'll tell you who is actually a really interesting sign as well, is that wing back Castillo from Chelsea as well.
Familiar Castillo, yeah.
Yeah, he could. You just want to say his name, don't you?
Yeah, I just wanted to say the full name because it's quite a fun name to pronounce.
But he just gives a bit more edge, and it just kind of almost takes the pressure off Colin and Pedersen as well. So it makes it interesting. Hopefully he can be an addition as well into our team. And it just... That's what I like, is the fact of, so a 5-back could work, obviously, if we play that wing backs, or even the 3-back as well. It's something we haven't seen for probably quite a while, really, at Blues. We're standard, normally boring 4-back, and then we kind of move up the pitch and hope. But this year, hopefully, I won't be shouting forward as much, so that means we actually will be going forward and we will be attacking. So that's good. But yeah, going into the game tomorrow, it could be an interesting one. It's weird because I don't necessarily want to over expect it, but I don't necessarily know how we're going to play. Don't know how they're going to play with maybe a new formation from there. It's almost like new versus new manager. Obviously, we had Bowyer a little bit towards the end of this season, but we've still got some new players. It's all going to be new versus new for both teams, really. Where do you think this is going to be? Do you reckon we can counter Sheffield United's kind of people putting them maybe to go automatic promotion straight away? Or you take a draw early on. It's weird. It's a weird one to predict.
It's a weird one. Yeah, very weird. I think obviously you take a draw against a team like Sheffield United. But their strengths and weaknesses to both teams here. I'd say a weakness for Sheffield United is they probably will be playing a new system that they're not used to at competitive level. Because Jukanovic is known for his 4-3-3 style. So we'll have to see on that one, but that would be my guess. Whereas a positive for Sheffield United is there's barely any new bodies in that squad. And a lot of the time that can be a negative for a squad. But when you have a squad of that caliber, that shouldn't really be where it is. We were all surprised that they got relegated last season, let's be honest, especially after the previous season they just had. So, no, there's plenty of quality in there, so they won't need time to gel. And that sort of brings me on perfectly to a weakness of Blues is we are still gelling. There is a lot of new faces. We've made the joint most signings in the Championship this season. So it's always going to be a tough gelling process. However, a positive to Blues is I think, at the end of the day, we've been in the Championship for a while now. We're mainstays. We know what it's about and we know what we're capable of and what we can do. And I just think we'll probably come into this game slightly more prepared as well, in the fact that, Sheffield United had a friendly cancelled not long ago as well. So that's an opportunity for fitness they've missed out on. I just think Blues definitely come into this game slightly more prepared. But that doesn't change the fact that there's every chance Sheffield United could still completely wipe the floor with us. But knowing Blues on an opening day, I'd like to fancy us, to be fair.
Yeah, our opening days obviously have usually been against Brentford, so it's going to be interesting to see, and hopefully we have that kind of luck again. But it reminds me of a situation against Watford last year, where it was almost like, okay, we go into it with hope, and then oh no, we get smashed. So it can go either way, and that's the thing. And hopefully our preview for the next game, which obviously is our first home game of the season, will hopefully give us a good stead to see, right, did we win, lose, or draw, and we'll move on. But let's hope for a win, but it's not a draw isn't a bad result, especially at Bramall Lane, when the fans are back. And that's the key thing. The fans are back, which means full capacity from both home and away, I believe. So we're pretty much getting back to normality. And I just know that Sheffield United, they love that Greasy Chip Butty song, but we love Keep Right On. And it's just going to be a great collaboration.
We'll drown it. I'm confident we'll drown it tomorrow. I'm so excited. I'm just gassed. The second I step on that Blues coach, I'll get goosebumps already. Tomorrow. I can't wait to be in the away end. It should be class.
There we go. Predictions for the game then. I think I'm going to go for bog standard 2-1. I would like to say it's Blues. I would like to say we'd have a 2-1 win against Blues, but I'd also take a draw. And if it's more of a competitive draw, probably like a 2-2, but it could also be a scrap, which means it'd be like a 1-1. So if I'm picking out of those, I'm going to be hopeful and going to trust Lee Bowyer and the Blues. So I'm going to go 2-1 Blues.
Fair play. I love the positivity. And you know what? I'm going to follow up on that. I feel like if you're not positive in life, then the positivity won't come to you. So that's the way to go about it. I'm going to go 1-0 Blues. Enike off the bench, last minute winner. It's happening. It's going to happen. we can pray. I just like some scenes in that away end, to be honest. So yeah, we'll see. I'm gonna stick with that 1-0 Blues.
Yeah, and of course, 8 o'clock kickoff, I believe, for that one is on Sky as well, which is the second Championship game, unless there's a lunchtime. There might be a lunchtime, so it might be the third Championship game of the season for that. So yeah, it should hopefully be a cracker of a game, and then we'll be back to our home place, which we want to make a fortress this year, St Andrews. Which I believe is just called St Andrews now. I don't know if it's called the Trillion Trophy Stadium, St Andrews, but who knows?
Well, the deal's supposed to have ended. So in my eyes, I mean, it's always been St Andrews anyway, but it definitely is now. They just need to rip that sign off the front where it says Trillion Trophy. I just find that such an embarrassing name because we don't have a trillion trophies. But, it is what it is.
It is. Thank you all for tuning in to that was the Blues preview here on the Blues Daily YouTube channel. Make sure to tune in to other future content that you'll have on this channel. Tom, thank you very much for joining us. You'll be joining us throughout the whole season, hopefully, which is great. And hopefully make sure to follow us. All of our socials will be in our bio below, which obviously includes in terms of articles and things on the website and also on Twitter as well. So as always, let's keep us optimistic for this season. Let's hope for a mid-table to higher push. We'll see. We don't want to be anywhere near that relegation zone, do we? So as always, keep right on and enjoy yourselves. Take care.